All right, I'll make a start. First of all, I'd like to welcome you all to our 29th exhibition and sculpture trail. We're delighted that so many of you are here, and we're even more pleased that the weather is dry. This last few days have been fairly bad. It is my great pleasure to introduce you to Jonathan Hateley, and I'm just going to have a look at my notes to make sure I get the order correct. Now, Jonathan has exhibited with us for over a number of years, and one of the sculptures that sticks in my mind and gives you an insight as to the nature of Jonathan and his sculpture was a piece he made called 365. And what he did was each day for 365 days he did a small plaque on flora and fauna, and basically created a sort of obelisk. And we had one here, and in fact I think it was a bronze edition because you'd sold out of the resin.
Right.
And it's not very far away from here. It's in Godalming in someone's garden. So that was a rather special one. A few years later, we were very fortunate that BBC South decided that they would do an open broadcast here, and their weather presenter did a live weather forecast alongside one of Jonathan's sculptures called Releasing. And Releasing is a female figure. Not the sort of idea is not dissimilar to that, where her dress was spread, and it was quite a windy day when they did the live weather forecast. So that's another one that sticks in my mind. And then, of course, a few years ago we had the pandemic, and Jonathan, like most of us, was ensconced at home, and he came up with a sculpture called Contemplation. And what he did was he created a Facebook, or probably Serena created a Facebook.
No, I did it.
Oh, you did it, right? Facebook page, and asked for people to contribute words which he carved onto this male figure. There are 193, I believe.
I have no idea.
And some of them do stick in my mind. Clapping was one, no surprise there. Distancing, that wasn't such a good one, but the one that I really liked was hugs. So, that's three pieces that immediately come to mind. And of course, today we're delighted that we've got 7 of Jonathan's sculptures here, 3 of them behind us, Sunrise just in front, and then 2 of his new pieces, Monarch over to the right, or to my right, and Papillon. And they've not been shown anywhere else before. So we're really especially grateful that you decided to show them here today, and we're even more delighted that both have been sold already. So, it's my great pleasure to ask Jonathan to say a few words and to open our 29th exhibition.
Hello, everyone. Is that not close enough? Yeah, I should say that I usually spend my time being alone in a barn sculpting, so rather than speaking like this, so bear with me and my cards and everything.
Can you switch the microphone on, please?
It is on.
Is it? Am I not near?
Yeah, just get a bit closer.
Thank you, Evelyn and Gwyn, for the invitation to open your exhibition. My only worry is it might be a sign I'm getting old. I actually entered one of your exhibitions for the first time exactly 20 years ago, which is quite a long time. For me, being a sculptor has been a strange old career, and if anything, for someone embarking on it, I would say not to expect the straightforward. In fact, the journey can be as challenging and rewarding as the sculpture process itself. I came into exhibiting sculpture after a career in theatre, TV and film. Firstly on the musical Phantom of the Opera, and then my only ever full-time job at the English National Opera, where I learnt so many of the traditional technical skills I still use today. As time passed, I moved on to become a self-employed sculptor, freelancing at various places like the BBC, Henson, Shepperton and Pinewood. I eventually settled at a place called Asylum Models and Effects. For a good 25 years, it seemed the asylum was where I belonged. Oh, that's not quite right. It was a great experience sculpting anything I was asked to sculpt, from life-size giraffes and incredible hulks to Bob the Builder and giant pigs to advertise Coleman sauces. One of my last jobs for Asylum was to work on an alien film called Under the Skin. The said alien's human appearance was Scarlett Johansson. To put it politely, I had to sculpt onto a clay life cast of the actress parts that were hidden by her underwear. I also had to work on her face to make her look a little less well. My computer was loaded full of photos of Scarlett's face, which I printed out and stuck all over a wall in my home for reference. It's a good job nothing bad happened to the actress during this time, as the way my room looked, I would have been chief suspect. From memory, I think the work I did on that film was difficult to detect upon viewing, and that was so often the case in the commercial world, spending days or weeks on sculpted models that would be on the screen for seconds. As computer-generated design became more prevalent, I too started to explore and experiment more. I dabbled a bit in sculpting software and illustrated a number of children's books, ultimately leading me to creating my own sculptures to exhibit. Open studios were a great platform to begin the learning curve of exhibiting sculpture to the public, but beyond that I had no idea how to take it forward. I remember seeking advice from an established local artist, a great sculptor, a Mr. Ev Maynor, who is actually exhibiting here today. I'd hoped he was going to be here, but never mind. Well, Ev told me to clear off. He didn't. I'm joking. No, he didn't. He suggested I join the Surrey Sculpture Society. The Society provided a number of opportunities for me to exhibit. One of the highlights of their calendar was firstly Vivatis and then AppArt, artistic jewels of Surrey, both created by Evelyn and Gwyn. They were always happy to exhibit my work during the years when I was really still trying to work out what my sculptures would look like. And here's where I repeat what you said. I showed a piece here in 2011 which was called 365, which Evelyn and Gwyn successfully sold in bronze. It was the result of a year's observations in nature, where each day I sculpted something seen on a walk and placed them all on a larger form. I was determined after that sculpture to somehow incorporate what I'd created to inform my work going forward. Gradually I moved towards the human figure and the idea of reflecting nature on the surface and hopefully saying something about human emotions, the world around us, or both. Things seemed to change from that point as I found the need to get a bigger studio, an assistant, and I got used to getting editions of my work ready for shipping to affordable art fairs abroad as well as in this country. While an artist's life is often solitary, I've been lucky enough to have a very supportive wife and manager in Serena, that's you, as well as assistants, first Lucy, now Sue, and importantly a mentor in Leslie Sams of the Pure Arts Group. I created a piece called Releasing, but as is the artist's way, and certainly mine, having been staring at it for months in clay, when I'd completed it and set it up in my garden for photographs, I really didn't like it. Despite this, I proceeded to put it on social media and found my phone suddenly burst into action like it never had before. Over 2,000 shares were made over the day and likes that I'd never experienced. The sculpture is about literally letting go and has autumn leaves all over it to reinforce that idea. In a private message, someone told me how she'd woken up the morning after retiring and saw a picture of the sculpture on her computer. It was how she felt, the release of that weight on her shoulders. She was actually in Germany and eventually came over to my studio to buy it. It is the hope of all the artists exhibiting here today that someone here or those visiting in the weeks ahead will see something in their work which resonates with them, that they enjoy, or that it will simply look good in their home. We all have a passion for creating, and there is no bigger joy than knowing that someone has enjoyed your creation enough to take it home. The burst of energy which initiated every piece of artwork on display today came out of an inevitable need to create. If artists didn't feel that, it's difficult to imagine where the impetus would come from, but it has certainly manifested in some wonderful work here. And so on that note, with no pressure intended, I declare the exhibition open.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Jonathan. Really appreciate it. And I must say, the first time you exhibited with us at Vivatis, I knew you were going to grow very big, and I was right. So I'm really pleased for you.
Thank you. Thanks very much.
And to all our artists, thank you very much for exhibiting with us again. We really love having you all here, and all our supporters as well. And I hopefully you will have a fantastic time here and on the trail, and go and have a nice drink and make up your mind what you would like in your house. But no, and thank you also very much to the whole team who put this together. It has truly become a total family affair. My lovely husband and my daughter Joyce and son Gareth and their partners Cameron and Georgie have been a tremendous help, and also Kay and Ian, who are Gwyn's sister and brother-in-law. They're helping us every year, especially on the first few days, and they have been truly part of our business and journey. So thank you very much. Really appreciate it. And you enjoy yourself and do have a lovely time.
Two things. Of course, behind every good man, there's a good woman. And I'm not referring to Evelyn on this occasion. I am actually referring to Serena, who does all of the admin. And you can imagine what that involves, sending sculptures to Singapore, Hong Kong, and New York, and the logistics of that, and supporting Jonathan. So we do acknowledge the tremendous work you do as well. And finally, it would be wrong not to mention my wife, Evelyn, and my daughter, because between the two of them, they've hung this exhibition. And it was quite difficult this year, because we didn't realise that we had something like 80 extra pieces than normal. So we ran out of hanging rods and clips and various other things. So they had quite a job to actually mount the exhibition. But I think you'll agree they've done a splendid job. And hopefully somewhere there's a bunch of flowers coming this way.
We will do that. We will do that.
Well, anyway, a special thanks to Evelyn and to Joyce.